Hey everyone, today I'm going to be looking at something that's a little special. This is if the RPG world had social media. Like the name implies, this is a sort of what-if scenario that could happen if social media was introduced into a typical RPG fantasy world, all wrapped up in a light novel format. What this amounts to is a unique experiment of a novel. Most of the exposition, character actions, and dialogue is quite minimal, and often last only a couple pages between each major story beat, kind of like page breaks or chapter ends. The meat of this tale is told in chat windows. Due to one inventive sorcerer, the internet and smartphones exist in this world, and because of that, this typical fantasy world has quite a few odd developments. Most notable of which is the hero in this world is a socially awkward and weak shut-in. He lacks in many areas, but he is still the chosen hero for specific reasons. One day, the princess of his kingdom is kidnapped by the demon lord, and the king reaches out to the hero for help. This leads to the hero getting the princess's contact info, and the princess in turn gives the hero the demon lord's contact info so they can talk things out. He quickly gives up on the rescue, as the demon lord is a cute girl who is also socially awkward, but also just the hero's type. Plus, the princess is being treated better than in her kingdom, and the whole kidnapping was a misunderstanding. Thus, after chatting a little with the demon lord, the hero sets out on a journey to meet up. However, as this hero is pathetically weak, the demon lord sends one of her generals to help him out. This general turns out to be a cute girl too, but she's a bit of an extrovert, so the hero can only communicate via text as he doesn't have the ability to converse normally with her or others. The majority of the narrative then plays out via chat boxes, group messages, and the occasional selfie. It's an incredibly unique narrative delivery method, and for the most part I think it works. I haven't heard anything about a sequel to this, and I think this works quite well as a standalone novel and experiment. It's refreshing, easy to read, and pretty relatable considering the fantasy context. It's also nice having a pretty flawed main character, who for the most part has realistic and relatable flaws like social awkwardness or low stamina. The cast is decently sized, and quite a lot takes place for a relatively small book. It oozes self-awareness, and that's where it shines most. Calling out its own world for being weird is a great way to keep this novel lively. It really is like the reader is watching all this play out in front of them, rather than being taken along and becoming invested in the characters and narrative. Things like how every demon general needs to send a selfie before their grand appearance, or how private chat rooms are created to keep a secret from others instead of whispering it, are great ideas that sell you on a strange new world. My one complaint about all this then would be how the chat logs themselves are presented. As is usually the case, the bulk of the novel is in black, white, and grey. The problem then is that not only do these chat logs lose a bit of character, they're presented like a regular string of messages like through text or pretty much every messaging app ever. However, they are shrunk down, and the shade of grey used for the hero's messages is hard to read unless you're in good light. As this is the majority of the book, it's a little hard to focus and impossible to ignore. It was almost perfect. I do know there is a manga for this, so maybe it isn't really a problem there. While on the topic of how the novel looks, I might as well talk about illustrations. There are very few in this book, or there are tons, depends on how you count them. Basically, I'm not counting chat icons or emoji-like text. That leaves the photos taken by the characters sprinkled throughout the novel and the actual coloured illustrations at the beginning and on the back cover, weirdly enough. Might as well break all the conventions if we've gone this far. I'll say it now, I'm not a fan of the cover. Sure, it does give a great idea as to what this novel is about, but I feel like it's both too busy and awkwardly empty. It's hard to describe, but I guess this does stand out as, again, it's against tradition, and because of that it doesn't just blend in, and it would be a shame to miss something like this because it looked like everything else. What I'm basically trying to say is, the gimmick works, and there's something properly unique to read and enjoy that pokes fun at just about everything that it can. Sure, it's not perfect and not all jokes land, but it's an amazing experiment that felt like a breath of fresh air. I read it cover to cover in a day, and can't wait for the next experimental series that I won't know is coming. I'm more eager than ever to dive right back into even more light novels to find little gems like these. So if that sounded like your kind of thing, then I strongly recommend reading this one. I hope you enjoyed that review, and I'll see you all next time.